only considered successful when she has a husband. I felt lost, I felt angry, I felt miserable, I was also depressed, I was also struggling to pay my bills. I was desperate for a man to save me. I decided to go against everything that I knew, and this is how. It was the summer of 2013, and I was sitting by the river, and the only thing I wanted to do was jump in the water and kill myself. I was so miserable. I was so unhappy. I would wake up in the middle of the night with dreaming about my job. I would have nightmares about my work. And on the surface, I had a beautiful home. I had a wonderful husband. I had a child, but I was completely broken from the inside. And today, I want to share a little bit about my journey and what has helped me move away from the self-harm thoughts. Friends, my name is Devina Kaur, and I am an author, a radio host, a producer, as well as an entrepreneur. And today I want to share a little bit of my journey so that you can learn how to live authentically. So fast forward a few months after this realization that I was really unsatisfied with life, I was really miserable, I decided to take life in my hands. Me and my husband, we ended up getting a separation, eventually a divorce, and I quit my job in the banking industry to become a full-time dog walker. Now, the thing about taking decisions on for yourself is that you cannot make everybody happy. And the same story happened with me. When I told my parents that I want to become a dog walker, they got very angry with me. They said, "Why are you leaving your job?" And I said to them, I am miserable. I am suicidal. I don't want to live anymore because my job is not making me happy. My marriage is not making me happy. So my parents were very angry. They said, "You're crazy," but they didn't speak to me, and that was okay. Finally, at the age of 32, I decided that I will live life for myself. So I became a dog walker. I quit my job. I was a full-time single mother, and I was very lonely. I thought that if I had a husband, my parents will no longer be embarrassed about me. I thought that if I was in a loving relationship, my parents would love me. My goal was to not be a shame to my parents anymore. So I started looking for my next relationship, my next marriage, and I found myself on many, many dating applications. I would be talking to 5, 10, 15, 20 men at the same time. And, this was something that I was doing as an addiction. I wanted to prove to everybody that I was worth love. The thing with our culture and our society is that a woman is only considered successful when she has a husband, when she has a relationship. However, nobody looks within and says, is this marriage a good relationship? Is this man providing everything to my daughter or to this woman? And the same thing happened with me. I was so hell-bent on proving to everybody that I was worth loving, that I lost myself. I was desperate for a man to save me. And when I would talk to men on dating applications, they would ask me, "How are you?" I would say, "Always sexy, always brilliant." It didn't matter that I was fat. It didn't matter that I was struggling with depression. It didn't matter that I had no money to feed my kids. I would just stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am sexy, I am brilliant." And the words that I was saying to myself, sexy, brilliant, was exactly the opposite of what I had learned throughout my life. I decided to go against everything that I knew, and I decided to proclaim being sexy and being brilliant. And the more I said these words, the more I started believing them. The more I would stand in front of the mirror and repeat these words, the more they became my reality. And this is how my journey started. One day when I was a dog walker, one of my clients came to me and he said to me, Devina, you must come to my office. So I asked him, what do you do? He said, I'm a coach. I said, what does a coach do? I had no idea what a coach was. So I ended up going to my coach's office. And on our first meeting, he asked me, how are you? I looked at him and I said, always sexy, always brilliant. So my coach turns around at me and he says, you should get that domain name. So I come back home from my meeting with my coach and I register the domain name sexybrilliant.com. And then I started wondering what would be the next thing that I was going to do. So I decided to write a book. And I did not know anything about writing. I did not know the first thing about putting a book together. However, there it was this voice inside me that said, you know, you have something that you can help yourself and you can help the world with. So I started writing my first book called Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious. You see, I had struggled with validation for so long. I had struggled with wanting to fit in for so long. And I had struggled to make other people happy for so long that I had lost my way in the process. I did not know who I was. I felt lost. I felt angry. I felt miserable. I was also depressed. I was also struggling to pay my bills. Yet this little voice in me, my intuition, was guiding me to write a book. The thing about intuition is that the more we listen to it, the stronger it gets. The more we listen to our intuition, the sexier it gets. And the more we listen to our intuition, the more our spiritual confidence goes up. And this is exactly what happened with me. In 2020, my first book was published. And also, remember that domain name I had, sexybrilliant.com? It is now a registered nonprofit foundation. We are committed to removing toxic shame, the shame of not being good enough, the shame of feeling too fat, the shame of feeling too thin, the shame of struggling with mental health, of overcoming addictions, anything that has kept you from shining in all your brilliance. As a society, we have become obsessed with outside success, with being too thin, with having the beautiful car, with having the perfect relationship, with having this wonderful career. And I was no exception. I struggled with the same thing. I struggled to be loved. And my struggle for validation, my need for validation has resulted in me becoming an addict. In the past 3 years, I have worked with a lot of professionals to make Sexy Brilliant a standalone brand. I have worked hard to live the startup life. And all of this was possible only because I started believing in myself, only because I started understanding who I am as a person, what my weaknesses are, what my gifts are, and I started mindfully getting out of my own way. And if I can do it, you can do it also.
जोश टॉक्स के मंच पर आज आपने एक अद्भुत कहानी सुनी। इसके पहले भी शायद आपने और भी लोगों की कहानियां सुनी होगी। जोश के मंच पर जो भी हमसे बात करने आते हैं, उन सब में एक चीज कॉमन है। ये सभी लोगों ने अपनी जिंदगी के सारे परिस्थितियों को पीछे छोड़कर, हराकर अपनी जिंदगी में कुछ बड़ा और अनोखा किया है। मैं जानता हूं कि आप भी अपनी जिंदगी में कुछ बड़ा करना चाहते हैं। माँ बाप को एक अच्छा घर देना चाहते हैं, परिवार को आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, देश और अपने आसपास वालों की नजरों में कुछ बनना चाहते हैं। बट आपको क्या चीज रोक रही है? टैलेंट? जी नहीं, टैलेंट तो है आप में, मुझे पता है। जोश भी है, नहीं तो आप इस वीडियो को नहीं देख रहे होते। मैं बात कर रहा हूं स्किल्स की, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स, इंटरनेट स्किल्स, जो हमें करियर में आगे बढ़ने में हेल्प करती है। ये स्किल्स सीखने के लिए और जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ने के लिए मैं आपको देश के सबसे अच्छे सुझाव के बारे में बताना चाहता हूं, जिसका नाम आपको पता ही होगा, जोश स्किल्स ऐप। ये ऐप आपको कैसे हेल्प करेगा? जोश स्किल्स का हर एक कोर्स डिजाइन है आपको जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ाने के लिए। चलिए स्पोकन इंग्लिश की ही बात कर लेते हैं। रोजाना इस कोर्स में आपको मिलेंगे वीडियो लेसन्स, क्विजेस, प्रैक्टिसेस एंड फेस टू फेस दूसरे स्टूडेंट्स के साथ बात करने का मौका। आप क्या सही बोलते हैं और क्या गलत, हर एक चीज पर आपको फीडबैक भी दिया जाएगा। और तो और लर्निंग को मजेदार बनाने के लिए आपको पॉइंट्स भी मिलेंगे और टॉप स्कोरर्स को हमारे तरफ से अवार्ड्स मिलेंगे। इससे बेहतर लर्निंग क्या हो सकती है। सिर्फ यही नहीं, हमने इस ऐप को बदलकर एक ब्रांड न्यू लुक और फील दिया है ताकि आपकी लर्निंग और भी इफेक्टिव हो और आप अपनी जिंदगी में आगे बढ़ पाए। आज ही डाउनलोड करिए जोश स्किल्स ऐप और अपनी जिंदगी में आगे बढ़िए।